Alrighty, so when we're looking at the Mini-RocketBox Plus here, we're actually seeing the front panel, and you can see the serial number and all that good stuff, and also too our speed dial. And typically anytime I start running this machine, I usually just run it right here on that max speed. And of course I'll just press the on button and we'll get started from there. You can see below us here too the suction cup that comes with the Mini-RocketBox Plus, and always making sure that we adhere that to our table before we go gives us an excellent vibration, and making sure that it doesn't go anywhere crazy too. Alrighty, just admitting a couple more people as they trickle in here, guys. Alright, so that being the Mini-RocketBox Plus with the dial in the front and the suction cup at the bottom, the machine itself is actually pretty easy to look at, right? As far as the inside goes, and as far as everything goes on the with that, you can see that we also have the lift plate installed inside the Mini-RocketBox Plus too. Now, this technology itself is actually really important when it comes to working with this whole machine together and with these cones. The biggest deal behind that is basically making sure, of course, all these cones are going to be even from the crutch up. Now you can see they're all kind of teetering on themselves right now. They're kind of doing this up and down thing. Well, that's because all these cones are actually handmade in our world today with pre-roll manufacturing. So they have a little bit of a different tolerance for each cone. So when we put them inside this machine, we want to make sure everything's nice and even from the get-go. And that's what this lift plate does. It is adjustable as well too. It comes at a factory default of a 109mm cone size. You can raise it up to the 98mm cone size, which I have in here right now is what we're looking at. And then of course too, we can raise it up one more time, of course too, for those 84mm cones. And then we've actually come up with a couple more sizes as well too for the cigarette style reefer bottom tray. And then of course too, our debuting Dogwalker tray too for the 70x30mm cone as well. Alrighty, so taking a look at some of the other components that may come with our Mini-RocketBox Plus here. Sorry guys, gonna admit one other person here. Just want to make sure everybody's getting in here and seeing everything that they need to with this. If you're just joining us here, we're actually just going through the components of the Mini-RocketBox Plus and just talking about really what the machine comes with. And we can see here right before us a little bit of all our components here today. Of course, we have our bottom tray, which houses all of our cones. We actually load the cones up here in this what we call loading box, which is the gray box here you see before you. Bam, with the nice STM Canna logo on the front there. And what I'm working with here is what they have, the 109 98mm cone tray with the 98mm cones on the inside here. And that's what we're going to be utilizing today here to make some 1 grams. So also see what we have is our finishing base right here, a nice clean surface for anywhere where we're working, whether it's inside or outside. We can actually extrapolate our cones just by placing it right there. Of course, our wing nuts and washers. Now, most of the wing nuts are actually going to look a little bit more like a black plasticky look like this too. Of course, there's always other options out there in the world, and I always like these really nice gilded ones here. They're very fancy and they get the job done really well. Of course, we have our washers and what looks like musical instruments, but indeed is not actually. This is how we reset our top tray to make sure that we have a good starting point every time, or what we call the factory default riser bars. As you can kind of tell, everything with our Mini-RocketBox Plus, the RocketBox 2.0 is very adjustable when it comes to things to allow you to be able to operate in almost any scenario. Last but not least, the bread and butter of the entire machine as well too, our top tray with our top tray funnels, of course. Now the beauty behind the top tray and the top tray funnels is that it's actually utilized to be able to fill in a cone appropriately. Now, when we have a cone here, it actually fits on the outside, or when we drop this top tray into the bottom tray here, and we can adjust the fill line inside that cone by raising or lowering the top tray into that cone. Sometimes even for some other cones, we want to raise that top tray all the way to the top of that cone so that way it gets really, really full, or sometimes we want to bring it down on the inside because maybe we got too high of a weight. Maybe we need a little bit better of a twist or a fold on our cone. And that's what you can see, bam and bam, these adjustable riser bolts are for. I can move these up and down any which way I'd like to, and basically allow myself to work many different kinds of styles of cones and adjust to the way I need it to work for my team, which is awesome. All right. So with that being said, of course, you guys obviously saw that I do indeed have my loading box already full, as you can see right here. I have some cones on the inside here now. I'm utilizing zigzag cones most of the time now. I've really been enjoying that particular cone type. They've actually just started coming out with cones now too. Using them have actually been pretty consistent as far as things go, and really nice smoke as well. Alrighty, so with that being said, everything's loaded in here, ready to go. You saw that I could place one cone in there. I missed the cone right there. And you basically just drop the cone right into this. Now we have a lot of videos on how to load these things up a little bit better, and I can always show you a little bit more as to how to load them as well. You can always take a cone out really nice and easy with the chopstick. I love the metal chopstick. It's one of my best tools around here and always easy to find. If I'm going to be loading up one of these trays, it's just as simple as just dropping our cone right into the top there and letting it go. You can also use the stack and drop the entire stack in there to get that depth you're looking for. Which again is always really nice because it's nice to have different techniques and teams, and no matter what the operator is, they're going to have an easier time loading those cones right into here. From here, I'm just going to load in my top tray. You can see there's 2 holes right here. I'm going to land the 2 pins right here on my bottom tray. Bam, ready to go. And then from here, basically, I'm going to make a peace sign to my buddy with my thumbs out. Bring the entire thing over here to the inside of the machine. Now as I'm going in here, I'm just going to put those washers and wing nuts right onto the top of these bolts here on the side. And then from here, I'm going to screw this down. Now if I need to do any last minute checks or anything else like that, like, hey, maybe a cone got nicked, or maybe I need to do I missed a cone or anything else like that, right here is a great point to go in and make any fixes that you need to, which is really nice. I may have nicked a couple cones here. Now, when you see something like that happen, hey, I may have nicked the cone, you hear that. Typically, that means out of all of these here, I may have had like 6 of them that got nicked, and that shows us that there is a major inconsistency in our heights with cones, right? Because we're all level in the base, and we're coming up now, and we're hitting that top tray. So I can always adjust the top tray to avoid those cones altogether. That's why I love this adjustable top tray ever so much. Alrighty, so I'm going to move some things off of the table here, just to get everything nice and clean. And also too, as you can see already, hey, I already got my material, which is great. This material is Umpqua hemp. I have it at a pretty fine grind here actually. And this is coming right from our Revolution 2.0 fine screen grind. Really nice middle ground grind is what I like to call it. Very, very versatile and easy to work with. Definitely going to work for me here. I can always change the grind size and work with it in here. Moisture content is absolutely key, however, so I always want to make sure, hey, I'm not working with something that's coming right out of my 1/8 jar, right? So from here, we're just going to crank the sucker on and be off to the races for a fun run. As you can see, I can adjust my speeds through the middle of the run here at the beginning or at the end here to change up the pack, to see and watch the material move, and be able to adjust the speeds on this machine is absolutely amazing. And one of the best parts about this little Mini-RocketBox Plus here. So from here, I'm just going to take off those washers here, bring on the loading box right back on over here, and just take these cones out. Now you can see with my liner here, hey, even if I get a little bit messy, I collect all this stuff right here. I can take this liner out, replace it with a new one if I want to, and make sure all my material stays where I know where it's at. Very big part of this and really nice part of that. All right, just taking this off right here. Nice little circles here, and then bam. All right, so from here, make any little adjustments you want to. Hey, you can sprinkle some more material in here. If you got some hash, you got some oil or anything else like that. So all standing right here in a very nice, easy controlled environment. and you're not going to lose anything too much or make a big mess. This bottom tray does a really good job at controlling those joints, so I can work with them in any fashion I really want to. And then bam, dropping that tray right there, get those good looking joints. So when it comes to running this, as you can see, it's actually a really easy process as far as that goes. I typically have an abundance of material with me here, just a little bit extra than what I think I really need, fill in that top tray. Now, depending on what weight I get, I can always adjust my top tray, my run time, even how hard I run the machine to be able to get some lighter weights, some heavier weights, and heck, I can always change my grind size too. Again, when working with this machine, it's really versatile. It gives you some ability to actually be able to really work in some different numbers here too. Sorry guys. Bam, there we go. Alrighty. 0.8, a little bit off here. Let's shoot her over here in the middle. Why not? Let's take a look. The 103, that's what I'm going for. 109, so I'm shooting for that 1 gram right here too. There we go. .99, I'll take it. Why not? 0.84, let's take a look over here. Let's see what's going on. 0.93. So you can see here too, I have a good range in where I'm working with. If I see that, hey, I may have some lower weights over here, some higher numbers over here, might be the fact that I need to adjust my top tray a little bit. May also be too, my material may need to have been blended a little bit better, but gosh darn it, these joints are looking wonderful as far as aesthetically. All have the same fill line in them, which is excellent, which means I have a good ability to make some adjustments to make this work the best way I possibly can. And again, these numbers actually are not too bad right here too, hitting those 1 grams all around. Alrighty guys, so if you have any questions or anything else like that too, hey, right now is an excellent time to ask. I'm just gonna shoot this camera right on back over here. How's it going again? And if you have any questions, hey, shoot them on out, type in the chat, anything else too, guys, and I'm really happy to answer any. I'm gonna check that chat here right now too, to help out anybody I can. Awesome, guys. If you have any questions, anything else like that, I'll leave this open here for the next few minutes and everything too. I'll fold some joints up and everything. If you guys want to unmute, go to the chat. Anything else that works well for you. We also have Ben Pugsley here too. There we are, Andrew. How's it going? The bottom tray attachments for the cigarette tubes. I have the original R&D one, and I have to load that one up here really quick. But let's take a look here. Let's see, see if I have that tray around here, guys. You'd have to hold on for just 1 minute while I set up, though. I'm going to mute the camera and everything if you'd like to see that. Give me a couple minutes, and I may be able to get that together for you if you'd like. All right, guys, hold on 1 moment here. Not a problem at all, Andrew Frank, not a problem at all. Let me get that set up here really quick for you guys. If you do have any other questions, Ben is right here ready to go. I'll get that all ready to go here, and then we'll be off to the races showing you guys a little bit of how that works here. A couple adjustments need to be made. We run it a little bit different than what we normally would with the standard bottom tray and loading box. So this will be a lot of fun for us. Just remember, this is my R&D tray, the one that we actually developed for this. So there's a couple cones in here that are actually going to stick up a little bit further than I'd like. Just keep that in mind. Our newest trays are actually set to a standard in which we tested from this tray. So get ready to have some fun, guys. I'll be right back. All right, everybody, thank you very much for bearing with me here while I was getting this together here. We definitely have to do a nice little different setup here, and I wanted to make sure I had all the tools we possibly needed so you guys could see the process as well too. I'm going to take you right on over here to the upward camera and show you a little bit how we set up for this cigarette cone and how we're going to run these cigarette cones too. Bam, there we go. Alrighty, so first things first, I'm actually going to need to adjust my lift plate here. So doing so, I'm actually going to take my Allen wrench. You guys get to take a chance to see this as well too. Basically, I'm just going to loosen up all 4 of these bolts right here too. Now, I'm not going crazy. There's no power tools needed or anything else like that. I am working with aluminum here, so I don't need to like wrench it down too tight or anything else like that. I'm going to try to keep the bolts here all together as well as I pull it out, and that way it kind of keeps the mess down. So as we can see, I'm set up already with an A riser bolt on top of my factory default. And for these cigarette ones, I'm actually just going to slap on another A bolt right here on top of each one of these. Lift plate back down in here, and we should be off to the races to start off our next step, which will be loading those cones. Now, the type of cigarette cone that you have, definitely we just have the king size right now. I'm looking at some further sizes at this time being. The king size is going to have that, I believe, 83 millimeter cone size on it too. And as we were talking about beforehand, the top tray is definitely going to need to be adjusted for this. And as you can see here too, I actually have the Mini 50 tray as well too. We're going to be utilizing today. That was done here with our R&D. And we're going to actually set that top tray up right here to its maximum height. And that's actually kind of how this works here. So I'm going to load this in ever so nicely. Now, can I put a 10-gallon liner in here? Absolutely can. But for just the time being, we're just going to put this in right here. I'm not going to be too messy with this one, thankfully. From here, I like to get all my mechanical stuff set up first, and then I'll go into my cones, and then I'll go into the product and everything else too. I always want to make sure that everything is set up as best as I possibly can get it, and that way I get the best run possible here. Now, an option you do have too, you notice that there is a lock nut underneath these bolts that I'm playing with here. And we actually have the option to remove that lock nut if we so choose. So I'm going to test the cone right now and see, make sure I have the height that I want. You know, I'm a little snug for these ones. Different cigarette cones, I noticed they tend to have some different heights to them every now and then. So I'll do a nice little check here when I first get a new cone type to make sure I'm just, you know, not hurting anything, making sure that everything's going the way it needs to, and I'm not nicking these things or doing anything too bad. I did notice I nicked that one. So we can go ahead and just remove those nuts off of this top tray here, and then make our adjustments as needed. And once you have these set up as well too, you're not going to have to go back and, you know, redo these every single time. You know, if you're using one cone type, material that's consistent and, you know, similar to the last batch, or hey, you got like, you know, 50, 100 pounds of this or whatever, you know, you're not going to have to adjust this every single time you go back to that. Usually you just get your adjustment that you need set for this run, for these cone types, for that material, and you're set and you're ready to go. All right, so getting rid of those lock nuts there gives me a little bit more clearance, a little bit more space here to be able to not hit those cones. Now, just like I was talking about beforehand too, you know, hey, I nicked some of those cones on a tray, you know, what can we do? We can actually just raise this top tray up a little bit And we can lower it down a little bit too. If we ever move it or anything else like that, hey, we want to move in similar movements, so you see that I have little black dots on there. You can scratch a line on there basically, but always making sure that they move in a symmetrical motion. There we go. In order for them to be able to be even across the board here. So when I start loading these up again, I'm always looking for that cone quality. You know, even these sometimes get a little bit bent. They're a little sensitive, I noticed, when it comes to touch. So when it comes to, you know, storing that box or anything else like that, I highly recommend, you know, you keep it in a safe place so these things don't get too bent. If I have some of these that are sticking up a little bit too high too, I can usually just use the tip of my finger and get them down to where they hit that lift plate. You can also too use the metal chopstick, which I recommend as well. Just be careful not to push down too hard, otherwise you might push the crutch or the filter right through the bottom of the cigarette cone here. Again, always coming up with better methods, things of that nature too. You know, you don't have to go one by one. You can kind of do that little drop method there to make things a little bit faster. You know, I always recommend, hey, go slow at first and then move up that speed, you know, get a good idea where you want to go. But these actually fall into the trays really nicely as far as that goes, you can see there. I'm trying to be as soft as I possibly can. Holding these things here, as you can tell, you know, you barely hit them. They have some difficulty sometimes. All right, so now that I'm almost done loading this thing up, one thing we always state with these here, hey, you know, we don't promise any particular weights with these, but what I can tell you that I have noticed is that grind size completely changes a lot of the weights that I can get with these particular cones. Typically, if I have something of a really fine grind size, I can get that weight up to be, you know, about a half gram, 0.75. I have seen some people get a little bit more in there too, depending on that grind size and usually moisture content of the product there. You can get some more in there. Alrighty, so you see I have two open holes right here. Hey, no worries at all. We're just gonna slap this tray on right here. Make sure you remember where those two were at, of course. And then what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna cork those up. Nice easy thing you can do anytime, anywhere, especially if you're in the middle of a run. You notice that, oh man, I may have missed a cone, or hey, you know, there's a hole right here. What happened? You know, something went awry. I'm losing material through there. Go ahead and throw one of those little ditch cones you had there, or a trash cone that may have got bent or something like that. And then that way you're not losing a bunch of material in the machine. Again, if you got that nice 10-gallon liner, hey, it's not as much of a deal, but here today, right here are these cigarette cones, I do not. So I do not want to lose a bunch of material in that machine here. All right, same thing goes. We're just going to tie this down now. Make sure it's nice and snug. You know, I'm not taking a tool or anything crazy like that, but it's going to be tight to where I can't twist that too much more, you know, and that's always good. Alrighty, from here, there's a couple different ways you can do this. You can turn the machine on and then you can start pouring material in. You can start loading material in right now and then turn the machine on too. A couple different styles depending on what you personally like to do. I'm actually going to start these ones off a little bit here. This. This is something I like to refer to as a dusting technique as well too. You can watch those cones grow. I know that each and every single one is going to be full and that my top tray isn't clogging or anything. This is some pretty fresh material actually from yesterday's extra fine screen from the Revolution 2.0. So when I'm working with something super fresh, it's got a lot of moisture content probably left to it, some sticky ickiness left to it, right? I want to be careful when I'm applying that to the machine. Typically you don't want to just dump it right on there, it's going to clump up on you. You want to make sure all these little particles spread out. Now, you can go a lot faster than this. I'm just trying to show you guys a gosh darn good example of what we're looking at, but still the method is applied. Just dust it right on in there and you're going to come out with some really excellent looking product. There we go. Okay. So from here, always keep that material on standby just in case. I expect these to go down a little bit. The runtime on this does not have to be too long. It can go up to a minute if you want to. I have done this in 10 seconds beforehand too. It really just depends on the kind of pack you're looking for and how much material you're putting in there. But there's a point where these cigarette cones really can't receive too much more of one kind of material. That's why when I play with grind size and moisture content, I see I can get a little bit more material in sometimes and a little bit less if I have a little bit more of a higher moisture content, a bigger grind size. I always recommend having like a watch on standby. If you do have like a clock in here in like the room or anything else like that, it counts down by the seconds. Really helpful too to have around with the Mini-RocketBox Plus here. Alrighty, feeling pretty good. I can see these kind of tumbling and everything. We got one kind of sinking down in there, just telling me, hey, we might be able to get a little bit more material in there. You know, it's up to you guys when you would like to cut your run times down, what speed you'd like to put your machine at and everything else like that. We always got tips and tricks too to help you guys further out to get the tightest pack, you know, those cigarette joints you're looking for, or really anything else that you need. Alright. Again, we can always change the speed too. We can watch this stuff move a little differently. We can really get a lot more material in there, or a tighter pack. If we go to this medium-high speed that I ever still like. Looks like we're not moving anymore, and we'll cut it. Okay, so from here, again, just like last time, we're gonna take those wing nuts and washers off. Really, I like to leave it on the top tray here, so that way I can just take this all off here. I'll actually take the top tray off inside the machine with these, again. A little different than what we just saw beforehand, right? Alrighty. We saw there are 2 open holes here, didn't receive any product, which is awesome. And then we see the rest of these cones here have some material in it, so let's check it out. Alrighty. Give it a couple taps if you have a little bit of a mountain over the top of it or anything else like that too. Sometimes it helps too, hey, you know, if I got a little bit of a mountain here, take that chopstick and just go over the top of that really quick, even those out. From here, I can grab that scale here really quick too. Get this in line, we can kind of take a look at these. Now when it comes to these cigarette joints, you know, you're always looking to see, hey, you know, what's the pack like? What are we looking at here? So let's take a look at this a little bit closer. Really, the chopstick is the best way to go about this one, as I have found. The ballpoint pen or anything else like that is a little bit too big. I like to give it a little pat down. You know, if you need to put any more material in there, you can from the pat down. But typically, that's a pretty nice little, gosh darn good little pack right there. You can go further to even go in and maybe even fold it if you want to. You know, this is a little bit, you know, more creative, I would say. It doesn't always work out for me all the time unless I'm using this really nice fine material. And I get those suckers packed really nice. And then right there, you have a cigarette style gum, which is really nice. As far as they burn, weirdly enough, they actually burn pretty gosh darn well, especially if you don't overpack the living heck out of these things too, with cannabis, with Sensimilia or hemp or anything else like that. You know, there is a potential of, hey, we may have overpacked it, there may be too much keef, that kind of thing too, and that can really affect the burn of these. However, they do burn very, very closely to what I would say a cigarette experience is like. So if you're looking for that, if you are doing anything for like, you know, CBD, or if you're doing anything for Sensimilia and you're looking for this too, it's something a little bit more discreet for your clients to smoke on. It's actually a pretty neat little way to go. Bam. I'm taking a look at those weights here really quick too for you guys. And if you have any questions right now too, hey, feel free to ask. I'm more than happy to cover anything else here for you guys while we still have you here. It's unfolded 1.82, 0.85. So a little bit over that 0.75 mark there, not bad. Back that one down there here too. 0.84. We'll just kind of keep going down the line here for you guys to get a good idea. 0.9, that's really good. You know, I'd say if I wanted to go for that 1 gram right there completely, that runtime may extend it out another 30 seconds to a minute. Again, everybody, we're all learning new things. And every piece of data is good data. So I'm close. I'm really, really gosh darn close to that 1 gram right there. I bet if I just thinking around the machine a little bit longer, maybe I probably would have gotten closer to that 0.95, 1 gram mark right there. So really cool cone type. I'm really happy. There's an ability to start packing this kind of paper type with cannabis kind of materials now, especially with this vibration kind of pack too. You do really get a good blend of material in there and some good airflow, which creates a really nice sensational smoke with this kind of cone type and many others too. Awesome. Does anybody else have any other questions? Do we want to take a look at any of these other cones or anything else, guys? Give you a couple other seconds here, everybody. I know there's a little bit of a delay every now and then too, especially after seeing something fun like that, you know, kind of be shocked sometimes. Is the whole product made of aluminum? You know, I don't know off the top of my head if this whole piece of material is made from solid aluminum or not. I'd have to get back to you on that there, my friend. I do know that certain parts of this though, like the outside of the machine isn't the aluminum, but as far as that goes, I really don't know. So I'd have to get back to you on that too. I'm sure Ben or I can give you an email here, call or anything else like that with further information on that, but I want to make sure I get you the right details with that question. That's a good one though. Alrighty. Yeah, not a problem, Andrew. Absolutely, absolutely. And again, we have that information pretty readily available to us too. Off the top of my head, I just again want to make sure you get that. If you guys have any other questions, please feel free to let us know. With that being said, it's been a wonderful experience with you guys. We're going to wrap this one up and we're going to get started with the RocketBox 2.0 setup. If you guys want to hang around, get ready for that here in the next hour and a half, I believe, here in the next hour or so. Join us for that, taking a look at the RocketBox 2.0. We don't have any cigarette trays for that one just yet, or any of the Dogwalker ones. Those are being developed at this time for the larger models, so stay tuned for that one if you guys are wanting to see that. I'm not able to do that one just yet today, but gosh darn it, we're getting on it. We're getting on it for you guys. All right. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Thank you so very much for joining us here at the Mini-RocketBox Plus machine. And of course, if you have any questions, you need anything at all, please contact your salesperson or myself here at Client Services, and we're all happy to help you out every step of the way. My name is Christopher Mendoza with STM Canna. Hope you're all doing well and take care.